On the broadcast tonight, Shippensburg University celebrates its diversity.
And the School of Engineering has a new name.
All of that and more right now on SUTV News. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Maddie Shively. One campus, many cultures. That's a phrase that a lot of students are hearing over these past few days as the university celebrates its annual Diversity Week. Diversity Week first began in 2020 as a way for the campus community to become more informed about the different cultures that represent the university's student body and faculty members. This year's Diversity Week events include political speed dating, safe zone training, and several talks regarding race, disability, and LGBTQ inclusion. Tomorrow's main event is one that's become a tradition of Diversity Week, the reveal of this year's quilt to cover us all. Several on-campus groups have each created their own panel for the quilt. The full quilts will be revealed tomorrow outside of Gilbert Hall at 3 p.m. For more information about Diversity Week events taking place this weekend, visit ship.edu/about/diversity. Shippensburg University is building a better tomorrow for their engineering students this year, literally. Let's send it over to SUTV's Brix Minguez, who has more.
Thanks, Maddie. The Shippensburg Engineering Department received a generous donation this week with the unveiling and naming of the new engineering school and laboratory. Students, faculty, staff, as well as foundation members and donors gathered on Tuesday morning for the official naming of the Milton and Doreen Morgan School of Engineering. Several speakers opened the ceremony by dedicating words of gratitude to the charitable couple who made this long-awaited dream a reality.
So thank you again, Milton and Doreen. And thank you to everyone in attendance today. I look forward to the future as we are engineering here at SHIP.
Donors Milton K. Morgan and wife Doreen Morgan joined this endeavor in 2020, starting with the renovation of the decommissioned steam plant located at the edge of campus. The Morgans attended the ceremony along with their family members to share the special moment.
Project this magnitude was certainly very exciting. I guess the favorite thing was to recognize where Shippensburg was before we got involved. I really was not aware that they had moved this far along in the engineering spectrum, so to speak, and the opportunity to be able to really help take that to the next level was very exciting.
The ceremony featured various speakers, tours of the inside of the building, and light refreshments for guests. Shippensburg University is currently the only Pennsylvania state system of higher education school offering a program with multiple engineering degrees, including computer science, computer engineering, software engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, and mechanical engineering. For SUTV News, I'm Brix Minguez. Now back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
Students, are you in need of a job or internship? This semester, Job and Internship Fair will be held this Friday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the Rec. There are currently 125 employers attending this semester. The university sent out an email with a partial list of the employers. A few of those include FedEx Ground, Fulton Bank, Clark Associates, Target, Ulta Beauty, and many more. Be sure to bring your resume, dress professionally, get a LinkedIn headshot, and come explore careers with 120 plus employers. You can register through the Handshake app or website by visiting joinhandshake.com.
Last weekend, the university's centerpiece of school spirit and pride performed for their biggest audience of the year. On Sunday, the Shippensburg University Marching Band traveled to Allentown to perform in the annual Collegiate Marching Band Festival. The festival has been a tradition in Allentown for more than 30 years, and we're even one of the founding bands for the festival. This exhibition is meant to showcase the talents of marching bands from schools across the state, including Millersville, Bloomsburg, Lebanon Valley College, and Westchester. We spoke with a member of the SUMB band about why this performance means so much to them and how the band will continue to evolve for the rest of the semester.
The band really looks at Allentown as like the climax of our season. However, we're not stopping from here. We're going to keep going out to the practice fields and football games and still performing our heart out and doing whatever it takes.
For those who want to view the marching band's performance in Allentown, the full video can be found on the band's Facebook page. Hurricane Ian hammered parts of Florida over the last 36 hours, and the storm is far from finished wreaking havoc. SUTV's Jacob Hitz has more.
It just is destroyed and it's ruined, and then you have to start all over again. And honestly, where do you start? How do you start in this?
Tropical storm Ian continues its rampage across the southeast tonight, more than a day after first making landfall across the Florida west coast. After bombarding the west coast with several inches of rain and winds over 120 miles an hour, the storm has weakened and continues to move east, battering Orlando and Daytona Beach overnight Wednesday. President Biden spoke on the storm Tuesday.
We'll be there to help you clean up and rebuild, to help you get Florida get moving again. And we'll be there at every step of the way. That's my absolute commitment to the people of the state of Florida.
And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis early this morning.
The amount of water that's been rising and will likely continue to rise today, even as the storm is passing, is basically a 500-year flood event.
The question now is, where does the storm go from here? You can see the cone, as it's called, where meteorologists predict where this storm is going to go. And as you can see right now, it's back out in the Atlantic Ocean. It has left Florida. Ian's back out to sea. It's going to strengthen back into a hurricane overnight tonight before crashing back into South Carolina and just the tip of Georgia tomorrow afternoon. Even though this storm isn't on land, that doesn't mean that there won't be areas surrounded, especially in this orange and yellow, that are affected by the wind and rain. The cone simply just shows the eye of the storm, where the strongest part of this storm is going to be. Still a lot of wind, a lot of rain outside that area that will pound the southeast before it comes back to shore. Now, where does Pennsylvania come into all this? Well, we're still watching where this storm is going to go after it makes landfall. And if you've ever seen how meteorologists track these kinds of storms, they call them spaghetti models, a whole bunch of strands on a map, each strand representing a different model and different possible path. So the storm keeps coming inland. It hits South Carolina, heads up to North Carolina. It makes its way up to Kentucky and to West Virginia as a tropical depression. And you can see that's just Saturday morning. It hits North Carolina. Here's the map. Where does Pennsylvania come into all this? You can see it comes up through Florida and it just stalls right over West Virginia and Kentucky. We're getting rain as early as Saturday evening. That's when the rain's going to start to kick in. Not heavy rain by any stretch, but it just sits over us and sits over us and sits over us. The storm fizzles out over West Virginia. I mean, you can see this is, I believe, almost Monday. This thing's almost gone. Heavy stuff way off on the coast toward Boston and toward New England. That won't quite affect us, but it just locks the rest of this rain over top of West Virginia. Again, the heaviest part is going to be not over us. This is not going to quite be like the remnants of Hurricane Ida from last September, where we saw more than 5 inches of rain in a day. We're looking at much less, but the rain is going to last over a longer period of time. Storm Johnson, he'll have a further look at this weekend in his forecast coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes. For now, I'm Jacob Hitz. Back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
From the rec center to Reisner, classroom to dorm, or just on your way to Starbucks, students know that walking is an everyday part of life. But this October, you can walk to break the stigma and show support during Mental Illness Awareness Week. More than 50% of Americans will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disease at some point in their life. The purpose of Mental Illness Awareness Week is to start a dialogue about the things in people's lives that can affect them. The event will take place at the CEDIA Union Building Amphitheater this Sunday at noon. When we come back in World News, we take a look at Hurricane Ian's impact on Cuba.
And India's Supreme Court makes an important abortion decision.
We'll be right back. What's going on around the world today?
SUTV's Haley Galaskis has what you need to know.
Hurricane Ian made landfall in western Cuba as a Category 3 storm with 125-mile-per-hour winds. The storm has now moved through Florida and is back in the Atlantic. CNN correspondent Patrick Ottman has the latest from Havana.
The entire island of Cuba, some 11 million inhabitants, appears to remain without any running power on Wednesday. Late Tuesday night, the Cuban government announced that Hurricane Ian, the impacts of that storm, had knocked out power in the western end of the island, including Havana, and that rolling blackouts had then taken out power across this island all the way to the eastern tip. They said that they were going to be working throughout the night to restore power, but it remains unclear how much success they've had. They say that they are advancing in certain parts of the island, but no statistics so far yet on how much power has been restored. This has a major impact, not only in the areas that are hard hit by the hurricane, but in other areas where over the summer we have seen rare protests against the government because of power blackouts. So as the situation continues, people are in the heat here, their food is spoiling. Certainly tempers are going to rise. The government says they are focusing, though, in particular on the hard-hit western provinces of Pinar del Rio, where people are still getting back to their homes after having evacuated tens of thousands of people, and only now are beginning to assess the damage. Patrick Ottman reporting.
The Swedish Coast Guard has confirmed the fourth leak to appear on the Nord Stream pipeline. The Coast Guard on Thursday confirmed the existence of a fourth leak and said one of its vessels near the source of the two leaks in Swedish waters was reporting a steady flow of gas to the surface. There are currently two gas leaks in Swedish waters, a larger leak above Nord Stream 1 and a smaller leak above Nord Stream 2. Two leaks have also been reported in Danish waters, Sweden's Coast Guard said in a statement on Thursday, adding that the leaks in Swedish waters were approximately 1.8 kilometers, 1 nautical mile or 1.1 miles apart. Since Tuesday morning, the Coast Guard vessel KBV-003 Amphitrite is in the vicinity of the two gas leaks. Amphitrite is equipped for operating in contamination, such as gas, the Swedish Coast Guard said. The vessel was reported a constant flow of gas to the sea surface. They concluded by specifying that the Coast Guard's vessel is in possession of a remotely operated vehicle, but not a submarine, which the Swedish Coast Guard said it neither owns nor operates. Brazil's players call for action after another shocking incident of racism in Paris. After a banana was thrown towards him on the pitch on Tuesday night, Brazil's Richarlison has said racism will continue every day and everywhere unless action is taken and punishment is handed out. His message is clear. The shocking incident took place in Paris, where Brazil was taking on Tunisia. It was in the 19th minute as the Tottenham striker was celebrating scoring Brazil's second goal that the banana was thrown. The Brazilian Soccer Confederation issued a statement saying it was vehemently repudiating yet another episode of racism in football. On Thursday, India's Supreme Court stated that all women, regardless of their marital status, have the right to an abortion up until 24 weeks. A Supreme Court bench announced the verdict as part of an interpretation of the 1971 Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, which originally applied only to married women or in cases of rape or a threat to the mother's life up until 20 weeks. In 2021, amendments were made to remove the distinction between married and unmarried and increase the time limit to 24 weeks in some circumstances, allowing for greater interpretation of the law to be applied. The bench on Thursday clarified that all women were entitled to a safe and legal abortion up until 24 weeks. This case arose from a July 2021 order in which the Supreme Court had allowed an unmarried woman who became pregnant due to consensual sex to terminate her pregnancy at 23 weeks. The Supreme Court's July ruling came after the woman appealed the Delhi High Court's decision denying her an abortion. The Delhi High Court had ruled that as an unmarried woman involved in a consensual sexual relationship, she had surpassed the upper limit of 20 weeks to carry out an abortion. That's it for World News this week. I'm Haley Galaskis. Now back over to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, sad news out of the hip-hop community.
And John Cena is breaking records. We have more after the break.
Are you a student athlete that is looking for additional academic support? Stop by the Catherine Hughes Sieber Raiders Academic Center for student athletes. The Raider Academic Center is the one-stop shop of academic information for all 500 student athletes. The staff at the Raiders Academic Center focus their efforts on helping student athletes identify their personal goals and surpass their academic expectations. Bring a teammate and get your study hall hours done at the Raiders Academic Center to achieve your highest potential as a SHIP student athlete.
Looking for a way to be informed and get involved? Join student media on campus. Whether it's SHIP's Emmy-winning TV station, SUTV, award-winning newspaper, The Slate, university radio station, WSYC 88.7, or nationally recognized Public Relations Society, PRSSA. There's an organization for you. Make the most of your college experience. Visit the 3rd floor of the Cub or Roland Hall for more information. This has been a public service announcement from SUTV.
Maddie, with fall officially in season, I feel like the weather has been significantly cooler compared to what we've seen over the past few weeks.
I'm definitely not upset about that. Now let's go over to Storm Johnson, who has this week's weather.
As we head further into fall, let's take a look at this week's forecast. Today, we saw a high of 66 degrees with a low of 48. Tomorrow, expect a high of around 66 degrees. Over the weekend, dress to expect the rain as Hurricane Ian makes its presence felt. With that in mind, we see 70% showers both days. Saturday also brings a high of around 57 degrees, while Sunday brings about the same as we see a high of 58. Heading into next week, Monday has partly cloudy skies with a high of 61. Tuesday's chance of rain is low but not zero at currently 30% chance of rain with a high of 64. Wednesday to Friday, the sun peaks out but the clouds stay with us. Wednesday we see a high of around 70 degrees, while Thursday brings a high of 66. Friday we see a high of 58 degrees, and again we'll keep an eye on what's left of Ian as it will bring a soggy weekend but will dry out as we get to the end of next week. That's your weekly weather report. I'm Storm Johnson signing off and again with this week's entertainment.
One of the most iconic rap artists of the 90s has died. Coolio was found dead last night in Los Angeles at the age of 59. The Grammy-winning rapper, whose real name is Artist Leon Ivy Jr., rose to fame in the early 90s after the release of his debut album, It Takes a Thief. He would later go on to create several chart-topping hits, including Fantastic Voyage and Gangsta's Paradise. Though some 90s kids may know him from the Nickelodeon series Kenan and Kel, which he performed the theme song for. Coolio also made several appearances in shows like The Nanny and Martin, and even did voiceover work for animated shows including Futurama and Gravity Falls. Police have not yet determined a cause of death. As if Marvel's movie schedule wasn't already packed, the studio just dropped a bombshell of an announcement regarding Deadpool 3. Ryan Reynolds appeared in a new video teasing the film posted to his social media accounts on Tuesday. This video not only confirmed that Deadpool 3 would be set in the MCU, but it also revealed the surprise return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Jackman has been playing the iconic X-Men character since the first X-Men film released in 2000. Fans have not been hiding their excitement for the announcement, as the video now has over 38 million views and 1.3 million likes on Twitter. Marvel Studios producer Kevin Feige has confirmed that, much like the previous Deadpool films, the third one will be rated R, making it the first MCU film with that rating. Deadpool 3 is planned to release in theaters on September 6, 2024. It may have dominated in its opening weekend, but critics have been far less than favorable to Olivia Wilde's second directorial outing. Here with a review of Don't Worry Darling is SUTV's Adam Beam.
Olivia Wilde surprised many when she got behind the camera with her directorial debut in 2019's Booksmart. Now she's gone all in on her second feature film, Don't Worry Darling, with an all-star cast of Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, and a budget of $35 million. How does this new psychological thriller hold up? Well, I unfortunately must report that while the passion is clearly there, Don't Worry Darling is all style with little substance.
That they want us to forget. Like Margaret.
Alice. No. Jack. It's okay. I'm curious to hear where she's going with this.
The film is gorgeous to look at. Easily the best thing going for the film is the cinematography by Matthew Libatique and the direction by Wilde. From the 1950s setting to the surreal dream sequences, the film is a treat for the eyes. It's just a shame that everything else beyond that is pretty lackluster. The film's biggest weakness is the writing. The message and the themes of the film are all very predictable. Not that they're bad messages, but there's nothing being said about them, and in the end it's all in service of a very rushed and unsatisfying conclusion. It's also unfortunate that this weak script lets down a lot of really talented performers. Florence Pugh is fantastic, despite the poor material she's given. Chris Pine is clearly having a good time in this villainous cult leader-like role, and Harry Styles is clearly trying his best, but I don't think he has the chops to play this type of part for this type of movie. He clearly took a page from the book of acting that says the louder you are, the better you are at acting, but every time he screams in this movie, it is pretty hilarious.
I need you to listen to me. They're lying about everything.
Overall, even when looking past the behind-the-scenes drama, Don't Worry Darling does little to differentiate itself from other more well-crafted thrillers. If you've seen films like Get Out, The Stepford Wives, or The Village, then you've pretty much seen this one. The film is impressive on a technical level, but nice-looking visuals can only get you so far. For SUTV Entertainment, I'm Adam Beam.
John Cena just set a new record, and a humbling one at that. The actor and former wrestler, who plays the DC superhero Peacemaker in the Suicide Squad movie, just broke the world record for the most wishes granted for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, with an impressive 650 wishes granted. The Make-A-Wish Foundation helps kids that have been diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, and helps fulfill the wishes of kids between the age of 2 and 18. Cena, who granted his first wish in 2002, also granted the Make-A-Wish Foundation's 1,000th wish back in 2012. In a video on the WWE's YouTube channel, Cena said, and I quote, "I just drop everything. I don't care what I'm doing," end quote. And even though he has been doing it for 20 years, Cena has no plans to stop granting wishes anytime soon. Light shines down upon us, so put away your umbrella, because Rihanna is back, and she's staging her comeback at the big game next February. The Grammy winner took to her Instagram to announce her halftime show performance in a creative fashion, posting a picture of her tattooed hand holding an official NFL-marked football. Rihanna has been on a 6-year break from music to focus on her beauty and fashion lines, and even declined the offer to perform the halftime show back in 2019 to support former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. As of right now, no news regarding Rihanna's guest artist has been released, or if she intends on performing solo. However, Navy fans can rejoice at the fact that we eagerly await the return of the Caribbean Queen. I'm Michael Donegan. That's the entertainment for this week. Now tossing it back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back in sports, we have highlights of all this week's games.
We have more after this.
Cub 231 soccer took on Mansfield yesterday at David C. Field. 60 minutes left in the first half here, and Skylar Lambert's going to cross this one. Mansfield can't clear it out of the box, and Anna Stoner's going to fire this one in for her first collegiate goal, 1-0 Ship. After an early second half goal from Mansfield to tie the game, Pittis is going to throw this one in. The ball gets bounced around, still poking around. It's ultimately going to end up in the middle of the pitch, and Michaela Agosto is going to shoot and score her first collegiate goal. There it is, 2-1 Raiders. Look at the celebration. 17 minutes to go now, and Sydney Miller practically is going to throw this one in from downtown. There it goes. It's going to go by everybody, but a penalty is going to end up being called in the penalty box. It will send Jenna Fulmer to the line for a penalty kick. Here's the attempt. She's going to keep this shot low, and it gets by the keeper. Raiders go on to win 3-1. Raiders hit the road on Saturday, playing Kutztown at 1. Men's soccer traveled to Bloomsburg on Wednesday night to take on the Huskies. In the 13th minute, Patrick Walsh scores to give the Huskies an early 1-0 lead. Here's the shot, and there it goes in 1-0 Huskies. 2 minutes later, the Raiders tied the game when Chase Estes puts the ball past the Huskies goalie to tie the game at 1. Here's the play. Nice shot. Raiders tie the game 1-1. In the 31st minute now, Anthony Jolie scores on a penalty kick. Here he goes, which is going to give the Raiders a 2-1 lead. On to the second half, Harry Kershaw scores, which extends the Raiders' lead 3-1. Here's the shot and in. A few minutes later now in the second half, Bloomsburg on the comeback. They're going to score to tie this game to make it 3-3 all. Huskies broke the tie in the 63rd minute when Patrick Walsh puts in the floor to give the Huskies a 4-3 lead. The Raiders dropped the game to the Huskies 4-3. The Raiders have the weekend off but travel to Chestnut Hill on Monday at 7 o'clock. On to volleyball, and they had a triumphant comeback victory against East Stroudsburg on Saturday. Ship and ESU went back and forth through the first 4 sets. Raiders winning sets 2 and 4 and scores 25-17. We pick up late in set 5. Ship up 11-8 fresh out of the timeout, and ESU gets this one over the net, and it's going to be Sydney Stone with the kill, gap down to just 2. ESU keeps the momentum rolling, and Oyenda Agbali cannot keep this one in bounds, and we are all tied up at 11. The magic number is 14. Raiders 1 point away from the win, 13-2 after the ESU kill, and they come up with a huge block. The team with a 2-point advantage wins. Raiders with a 1-point advantage, and it's Agbali with the huge block to give the Raiders the win, 15-3 in 5 sets. Then on Tuesday, Rachel Verhoef was named PSAC East Athlete of the Week, totaling 27 kills and only 8 errors through the 2 games the Raiders played last weekend. 18 of those kills came off against East Stroudsburg. Raiders continue their season tomorrow night at 7 at Millersville. The women's swim team opened their season last night at the Donald N. Miller Pool against Kutztown. The Raiders won the first race of the night, the 200-yard medley relay, also scoring individual wins from sophomores Lauren Kroll, Kristen Gebhard, and Gracie Wetzel, and freshman Grace Reagan. The men's team will make their debut on Saturday, join the women's team at Westchester in a tri-meet with Southern Connecticut State. Football hit the road last week, bringing the band and the cheerleaders with them to Bloomsburg. SUTV's very own Jacob Hitz has the highlights.
2 1-2 teams squared off on Saturday in their first divisional game of the year. Midway through the first quarter, Sam Johnson looking, fires deep over the far sideline, and you can't quite see it on the live shot, so we'll show it to you again in replay. Ian Sheehan comes down with the catch. A big play. You'll see the replay here. Here you'll see it. Johnson fires. The camera keeps up with this one. Double coverage. Sheehan's able to break away at the 25-yard line and dives to make the grab inside the 20. Then the next play, Johnson takes a snap, low play action, fires over the middle. Hello, it's the fullback, Jake DeLucia, for the touchdown. 7-0 Shippensburg on top. Then 7 minutes to go, first half. Raiders up 10-3. Johnson fires quickly to the running back, Khalid Dorsey, and he takes it in from 16 yards out. It's 17-3. Later, same quarter, just a few ticks left on the clock, and Johnson trying to find the end zone, fires toward the middle, and guess who? It's Red Douglas down to the 1-yard line. Then the same Moon pushes into the end zone, and the Raiders up 24-3 over the Huskies at the half. Then late third quarter, and again, Raiders driving. Johnson finds Sheehan on the pass into the end zone, 6 yards out. 344 yards and 3 touchdowns for Sam Johnson through the air. Raiders win 31-17. Matt Feeney's efforts on defense did not go unnoticed, breaking the school record for tackles for loss and being named PSAC East Defensive Athlete of the Week. Feeney picked up 6.5 TFLs Saturday, breaking the 6 TFL mark set by Jake Metz in 2013. For SUTV Sports, I'm Jacob Hitz.
The Raiders return to Seth Grove Stadium this weekend to take on the number 3 ranked team in Division II, Shepherd. SUTV will have live coverage of the game beginning at 1. Finally tonight, our player of the week. We're sticking with football. Sam Johnson left last week's game against IUP hurt and fresh off an interception, so it was a little bit of a surprise when Johnson trot out for the Raiders' opening drive on Saturday at Bloomsburg. Johnson absolutely tore up the defense. 344 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and no interceptions. All season highs for the redshirt freshman from Michigan. That's Sam Johnson, our player of the week. And that's it for sports. I'm JD DeRazio. Now back to Maddie and Carson at the desk.
When we come back, a new study that is sure to get your tail wagging.
Stay tuned.
Here's your check.
Your dogs have earned the title of man's best friend. A new study says canines seem to have the ability to know when people are stressed. According to an article published Wednesday in the PLOS One journal, Dogs appear to be able to smell when someone is stressed. Previous studies have already confirmed dogs can tell when a person is scared or happy. So for this round of research, those competing scents were eliminated. The findings are based on 36 people whose breath and sweat samples were collected during and after performing a task. The dogs got the right emotion nearly 94% of the time. Our four-legged friends have 220 million olfactory receptors, which more than quadruples the amount humans have.
You know, I don't know about you, but with midterms coming up this week, I'm feeling pretty stressed out myself. How are you feeling, Maddie?
I feel the same way, dog. That's it for SUTV News.
I'm Carson Devitt.
And I'm Maddie Shively. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week. Good night.